Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Nation with me, Dustin Nielsen. Thank you very much for joining me here on this Wednesday afternoon. And you're right, I can't stop listening to that track either. God, for royalty-free music, that is terrific. They could be making a killing off of that. Don't tell them. Let's see who is in first today. Ryan, congratulations. You were here first, but you didn't say first. You said, hey, and that means that you really weren't first at all. Interesting. Dwight Langer, hello from NB. Hello to NB, New Brunswick, Canada. I'm guessing, right? Watching in New Brunswick. Thank you very much for joining me for Inside the Nation. We've got lots to discuss. Don misses the elevator intro. Look, Don, sometimes you just have to move on, man. We all love that elevator intro, but legally we weren't allowed to use it. So let's remember the good times that we had and focus now on the new banging tracks. There it is. It's just a catchy beat. I just like it. I just like it a lot. All right, we've got lots to get to, obviously. What the hell happened to the Edmonton Oilers against the Arizona Coyotes? Oh, my goodness. And we said this a couple of times this year, and usually it was like a non-meaningful game against a team from the East that was out of it, and the Oilers blew it. But this was a big, big game, which is why I think it's frustrating to hear Tippett come out and say after that. And I like Dave Tippett. I think he's done an excellent job this year. I think he should probably be in the mix for the coach of the year. I don't think he'll win it, but I think he's got to at least get some votes. I mean, look at what's happened to this organization for basically ever. This guy has a good pulse on his team, so much so that he basically knew they were going to lose to the Arizona Coyotes, which is extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating. And I look at it like, what, they got in early on Sunday morning. They wanted to get in, late Saturday night. They get in early on Sunday morning, but that was Sunday morning. Right? You should have had more than enough time to get things back on track, to get the rest that you needed. I would have rather them beat Arizona last night than the St. Louis Blues. They managed to get up for the Blues game. They played extremely well against the Blues, and everybody knows what the hell happened against the Calgary Flames. It was insane. And if I look at it this way, I can buy there were 3 emotional games. The team just didn't have it. They weren't emotionally invested in this one. I can buy that if they were playing like a back-to-back or even just on one day's rest. And it was against, for example, San Jose, who's coming to town, right? San Jose, Nashville, not a division rival. San Jose is a team that's not going to catch you in the playoffs. It's just a day after. But this was a game in which you're playing against one of the 5 teams you're fierce. I don't even know if that's, is fiercely a word? You're in a fierce competition with, is what I'm trying to say, for playoff positioning. And you come out and you just go through the motions in the first period, and then you play better in the second period, but they put a couple of goals in the back of your net. One's not a great bounce. Like, that was a huge game. If with 2 days rest, they couldn't be emotionally reconnected and realize what was on the line last night, come on. And if Tippett knew that was coming and knew that their energy level might be a little bit low, why not insert Benson and kind of get like this overall buzz from a guy who's trying, and I'm not saying Benson wins them the game, but I'm wondering if Benson brings up hey, let's go. Tyler's playing his first game. Let's get out there. I didn't like it. I did not like that loss. And I'm not here for the excuses of their schedule was thrown off a little bit or whatever. That was a huge game. You win that game, you have a 5-point cushion on the Arizona Coyotes. 5 points. 5 points is huge in this race right now. Instead, you lose in regulation with a pretty good effort from your goaltender in Koskinen, and I liked his game, and all of a sudden you're only 1 point up. So that's tough. Like Don says, Coyotes were desperate, and we spanked them a few weeks ago. I know, that's what I mean. They were tired team was beaten on all sides of the puck. Why were they a tired team? Jordan, that's what I don't understand. If they were tired heading into that game, they're screwed the rest of the way. They only have 3 more 2-day breaks the entire rest of the season. They've got, well, that's not true. They have 2 in February, 1 in March, and then the last one leading into that final game against Calgary, I think is a 2 or 3 dayer to wrap up the season. So why were they tired? I know they played 3 and 4. They didn't look tired against St. Louis. That was their second game in 3 days. They didn't look tired against Calgary. That was their third game in 4 days. Then they get 2 days off and they play the Coyotes, and the excuse is that they're tired. I disagree, man. I don't think that you can use they were tired as an excuse. I'm sorry. Suck it up. What are you going to do in the playoffs when you're playing every second day forever if you're going to have any success? They had 2 days off between games. Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday night they played. They weren't tired. I don't think they were tired. Akram says they hate 2-day breaks. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like you get that one day, you recover, and then all of a sudden you have a full day where there's nothing going on, and then you have to play the next day. I mean, I don't know. It was a frustrating loss. No excuses. They need to play better in that game. They've been playing so well, you don't really want to get on them from one loss. Like, that's only their second regulation loss in 2020. So that's excellent. But this was one of the bigger games, and they essentially no-showed, at least for the first 20 minutes, and then, played at an even pace. I thought they all played them, actually, second period. Third period, it was pretty even, in my opinion, but frustrating loss nonetheless. What is Tyler Benson doing here? That's what I'm wondering. Patrick Russell shouldn't be in the lineup. Okay, and you can make a case for Puljujarvi as well, but Patrick Russell literally has not done anything all season. Dude's got 4 assists in 35 games. Yet they keep him around. Remember when they were like, can't send Russell down, we think he'll get claimed. Yeah, you know who's getting claimed a lot off of waivers lately? Guys who scored 0 goals all season. He's had some called back, whatever. If Benson doesn't play against the Sharks, I have no idea why he's here. I thought if Tippett was going to have a feeling the day before the game, the morning of the game, and then before the game that his team wasn't going to have the juice that night, might have been a good opportunity, might have been a good spot to get Benson into that lineup. Obviously, a quiet matchup on the road against Arizona. It doesn't make sense to me why he's here. Stan says collecting that NHL paycheck. Oh, I'm sure he's not going to bitch about it. You're right. But play him. I'm not even saying play him on the top line. I'm just saying play the dude. Like, Russell does nothing. There is no way Tyler Benson can be less impactful than Russell. There's no way. So, and I know Russell had decent numbers in the American League, man, but he literally is the ultimate tweener at this level, I think. So I'm assuming Benson will get in against the San Jose Sharks, and we'll see what happens there. The Sharks obviously very banged up, but we'll see. The same reason Smith keeps getting starts and not Koski. How can you have a problem with Smith getting starts right now, though? He's been on an absolute tear. And I like Koskinen, too. I think at some point here, it's going to probably level out to the 2-2 or 1-2-1 or 2-2-1 or any combination of 1 and 2, possibly 3 snuck in there. But I don't think you go away from what Mike Smith's bringing for you right now. And I like Koskinen. I like Koskinen against the Blues. I like Koskinen last night. I say you ride. You know what you have in Koskinen. I say you ride Mike Smith until the wheels fall off one game, and then you can go to Koskinen 2-3 times if you want. I'm not going to disagree with you that Koskinen is the better goalie overall, but Mike Smith is winning games right now. I mean, that's Mike Smith's winning. So I think you have to continue to run with the way that they're running it right now. Koskinen is going to get his starts. And like I said, I thought he was their best player last night, to be honest with you. I thought he made some pretty good saves last night. Thought he gave them an opportunity to hang around in that hockey game, but they just couldn't get anything done. Smith is always scary to watch. Akram, I agree with you. Koskinen's the much more contained netminder, the much calmer netminder. Smith is all out. Smith is out there, and he's loving every minute of it. But sometimes it does get a little bit worried. Does Benson not play because Coach Tippett is worried about him being injury prone? No. I mean, you can't delay a guy's NHL debut because you think he might get hurt I mean, you can't. There's no way. Plus, playing against Arizona, you're coming out of that game pretty much healthy, I would think. They're not a team that's going to crash and bang you much at all. So, no, Alex, I appreciate the comment, but I do not think they're not playing Benson plus he's basically been healthy for like 2.5 years. So we'll see what happens on that front. How many games does Smith have to play to get his bonus? Well, I think some of it was based on playoffs as well, but you're right. There was a bonus there, wasn't there? Was there a regular season games bonus? Paul, for some reason, I think you're right. I don't have the number in front of me because I wasn't expecting to get that question. But Dan, if you're on the old Google, if you want to hit the boys up with that answer here in the comments section, that would be greatly appreciated. All right, Darnell Nurse contract talks. Bob McKenzie on old insider trading saying that the Oilers could be talking with Darnell Nurse about a deal that could be 2 years at just under $6 or less than $6 million. So where do we come out on 2 years, $5.75 million for Darnell Nurse? It would take him right up to unrestricted free agency. Do you prefer that over a longer term, higher dollar deal? I think it's weird because if Darnell Nurse wants to stay in Edmonton, like everybody seems to think he does, and it would make sense. I mean, he's pretty tight with that core group. I don't mind the deal that would take him right up to unrestricted free agency. I know it sounds crazy, but from an organizational evaluation perspective, that might be the best way to go about it. You get 2 more years to evaluate exactly what Darnell Nurse is. And let's not kid ourselves. I think we're still trying to determine, is this guy a really good second pairing defenseman? Does he have first pairing upside? I mean, I still don't think we have those answers. He's 25 years old. He's making 3.2 this year. If you could get him signed, let's say next year and the following year, and that takes him up to unrestricted free agency, Adam Larson is a UFA at the end of next year. So if he walks, you would then have more money to possibly pump that into Darnell Nurse moving forward if you've identified at the time that he's one of the guys that you want to continue to build your group around, right? You have to look at the long-term ramifications here of Nurse being around as well. You've got Oscar Klefbom, who's locked in until the 23-24 season. So Klefbom has 3 years left after this one. You've got Caleb Jones on the left side as well. You've got Broberg coming. If you sign Nurse for 2 years, Broberg could be ready. I would think that's probably Broberg's ETA. Like, I don't think Broberg's in the lineup next year. Well, he's not in the lineup next year. I'm not sure he's in the lineup the following season, but he could be ready the year after that, and you could be running Klefbom, maybe Caleb Jones if he continues to progress, and then have Broberg in your third pairing. And I'm not even talking about Chris Russell right now, but it's not the worst idea in the world to sit here and get to next summer when the Nurse would have 1 year left on his deal and say, okay, here's how our guys are developing. Here's what our blue line looks moving forward. Okay, now we want to commit to Darnell Nurse for 5 years. Or you say, you know what? These guys are coming along really well. We could maybe use this money to secure 2 of these other defensemen for a few more years. And we think that there would be some trade value in Darnell Nurse, which there would be. Go out and pull the trigger on a deal, get yourself a forward. I mean, that allows the evaluation to continue. Scares me a little bit that if things don't go well, he could just straight up walk as a 27-year-old, which would not be ideal. But those are 2 options that I think you definitely look at. Thank you very much. According to Puckpedia, Mike Smith's bonuses, 20 games played, 125K, 25. So yeah, heavily laid out there. So 40 games played, he gets 250K. And then he'll get another 250K at 45. Not bad deal if you can get it. Akram says 5.9 for 2 years for Darnell Nurse. Kyle says, as long as it's not 7 million plus, I'm happy. There's no way. Like Colton Parayko makes 5.5. You could justify that Darnell Nurse shouldn't make more than Colton Parayko. I think Parayko's on a sweetheart deal, but at the same time, I think that if you draw that line in the sand, I'm not going to criticize anybody. Nurse has been solid for the most part. Healthiest D-man we've had in a while. I prefer 3 years at 6. 3 years at 6 would take him by 1 year of unrestricted free agency. Maybe that's what ends up happening. I don't know. It's interesting, though, for sure. Connor McDavid, even strength points. Saw this today. I was Googling and messing around on NHL.com looking at Alexander Ovechkin, who's a goal-scoring god. He's on pace for 62 this year, which is insane. He's in his 15th freaking season. He's 34 years old. It's nuts. And I happened to come across the fact that Connor McDavid is 9th in the league in even strength points so far this season. Total even strength points so far this season. Connor McDavid is 9th. I don't even know what my take is on it. I just wanted to point it out because it surprised me. 69 viewers. Nice. Connor McDavid. There are 8 players in the league that have more even strength points right now than Connor McDavid. What does it mean? I don't know, but I thought I'd pass it along because it surprised me just a little bit. Heard Low Tide and Yaremchuk today on TSN 1260, home of the smash hit Nielsen show in the morning. Talking about Tomas Tatar. Tomas Tatar. And being a possible target for a team like the Edmonton Oilers, possibly the Edmonton Oilers. And Tatar's an interesting one. He's having an excellent season. I think he's already got 20 goals. You got him under contract for the rest of this year and next year. He makes $4.8 million. He can play either side on the wing. I think Tomas Tatar would be a nice fit in the top 6 here at Edmonton. I honestly do. I like the idea of Tomas Tatar. I just don't know what the price would be for Tomas Tatar. Jesse Puljujarvi plus what? By the way, quick Puljujarvi update. 3 more points today. He now has 44 points in 43 games. He's top 5 in scoring. With that being said, Jesse Puljujarvi could be leading the Liga in scoring. And for most people, he's not leading it by enough. Like that's basically what you're looking at. But Jesse now has 44 points in 43 games. So there is value there. So what would you be willing to add to Jesse Puljujarvi to get Tomas Tatar for this year and next? Would you be willing to go Jesse Puljujarvi and a conditional second round pick, and the second becomes a first if you make the conference final this year? Like, is that something you might be able to do? I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I think Tatar could be a pretty good fit. Play him on the left side with Cassidy and McDavid. Tatar's got some top-end skill. Then you can leave Draisaitl, Yamamoto, and Nuge together. I just don't know what you'd be willing to add to Jesse Puljujarvi to. And maybe the Habs wouldn't even want Puljujarvi because they're kind of going through something similar to Kotkaniemi right now. Who knows? But I think that's kind of where it has to start. Up next, the Oilers get the San Jose Sharks. I'd like to say they'll win, but I have no idea. I have no idea with this team. They win games I don't think they should win. They lose games I think they should win. It's extremely frustrating. But at the same time, they're going to the playoffs. You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now. I'm doing it. It is Wednesday, February 5th. The Edmonton Oilers are going to be in the playoffs this year. It's the first time I've said that anywhere. But they're starting to distance themselves from the Chicagos, the Winnipegs. It looks like these 5 teams in the Pacific might end up being the teams that are battling for the 3 divisional spots and then the 2 wildcard spots as well. So I'm going to say that the Oilers are a playoff team this year. So get ready. Continue to pray for playoffs 2020 if praying is your thing. If not, just keep your fingers crossed. That might work as well. I'd like to make a prediction for the game against the Sharks, but I have no freaking clue. So that's going to do it for another edition of Inside the Nation. Dan, I love you. If you're watching live, thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me. If you're watching this archived a little bit later on, why weren't you watching live? All right, we'll do it again on Friday. Thanks.